Hello guys, this is Pigments36. In today's video we're going to look at making some really basic, easy mud effects, as you can see in the Panzer IV here, and we're only going to use two pigments and one enamel effect, and we're just going to basically layer them and apply them in different orders, and basically just get like a nice, varied, muddy, dusty, dirty effect on the lower hull of this Panzer IV here. So these are all the effects we're going to use. I have a dark enamel product here. This is Wilder's Dark Street Dirt effect. It's kind of like a darker, muddy, kind of like almost satin finish when it dries. Enamel effect, and it's just going to help us make some darker, wet areas. It'll also stand in as a little bit of a fixer when it kind of dries in with the pigments that we layer on top of it. And that's mainly just to make like the muddy effect. I've got a darker pigment here for like a mud and dirt colors, and this is dark brown, I guess, by Wilder. And I've got this one here, which is dark European terrain. It's quite a bit lighter than this one, a little more yellow looking, so that'll help us blend in the darker pigment here with the actual base coat of the tank, which is yellow. So it'll kind of be like a dusty tone. As for brushes, somebody always asks me about this, so I'm going to cover it here before I can do so in the comment section. I've got this one here. This is a number 2 long brush, I guess. It's just a round brush, nothing too special. It's what I use to apply any delicate areas of an enamel product, like a wash or making some delicate muddy areas. That's basically the only thing I use this for, like pin washers and stuff like that. And I've got this one here. This is a 1/8 inch angular shader. As you can see, it's kind of like short and stubby. It's been bent up a little bit because I've used it a lot. I use these kinds of brushes for blending in oils, for blending in pigments, and also doing some chipping for the hairspray technique. They're very versatile. They're very short. They're very kind of like stubby and scruffy, so they're good for like just kind of like tough work where you need to like grind in pigments or like chipping effects and stuff like that. So these are good. And people always ask me about the company. This is Royal and Langnickel. Like, I don't even know. When I go to the art store and buy these things, I just walk in the section that has the brushes that say they're good for oils and acrylics, and then they're like $4, so I just buy them. I don't use any special brushes or anything like that. These are very straightforward. I just go to the art store and pick out what's good for me. So to begin, here is the side of my Panzer IV hull. It has been painted with Tamiya base paints and then nothing else. There's been no varnish on it. I just want to work on the matte surface. If you want to do a varnish, I'd recommend you do this stuff on a matte surface. But acrylics, the Tamiya acrylic base paint is pretty strong, so I don't really need to seal it. It's already matte, so that's fine. So I'm starting by applying some of the enamel product just to the lower areas where I want to kind of start the darker effects of the mud. So I'm just applying it. It doesn't have to be too precise, because they're going to blend this in with some pigments and stuff later on. So just this is kind of like almost like a wash, but it's also supposed to be thick because you want it to be, you know, not just in the details. You want it to actually be on the surface of the tank as well. And then we'll put some pigments on top of this when it's, you know, like half dry, and then that'll kind of blend into this, and this will help to hold on the pigments, but also the pigments will kind of mix with it. You'll get like a mid-tone going there, and you also get some textures going with the pigments. Now that this has been drying, the enamels have been drying for maybe about 5 minutes or so. You can see they're still wet. I'm just going to stipple on some of the darker pigment color right on top of them, because it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get that layering effect on there. And you can be a little bit messy because we're actually going to, you know, clean this up a little bit and also apply some dry pigments on top of this, which will help to kind of blend everything together. So I let the pigments that I put on there earlier, along with the enamels, dry for a little bit. They're not fully dry, but they've been drying for maybe about 15-20 minutes. And then now we're going to start working in some of the lighter pigment. And I'm going to be kind of doing the same thing I was doing with the first pigment, but this one's going to be a little bit higher up. I also kind of want to apply it over top of the darker areas as well to kind of blend them in a little bit. I've already started that here, and I mean, you can be a little bit messy because it's just pigments, and we're going to work on this a little bit more after to clean it up. But you know, we're just basically applying this, and we're going to go over and put more enamels and more pigments, and we're going to layer this on a little bit better. This is more for the initial buildups. So you can see that now we've starting to get that little bit of a kind of like darker effect lower down and drier dusty effects higher up. It looks a little bit messy still because it's not very well blended, but we're going to work on that. Right now I'm taking another brush, which is the same kind of brush I was using to apply the pigments, but this one is still clean, so I'm just going to actually do a little bit of just kind of like this. Like, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to blend in the actual top of the pigments because you can see right about there, that's not too good. But if you kind of just go up and down a little bit, you'll blend that in pretty nicely. So with those areas blended in a little bit better, we're going to start to apply some more enamel effects and just kind of maybe work in some finer areas. Like right around here, I want there to be more kind of wet effects caught up around the top of these bits because the water gets caught up there. So I'm going to use one of my smaller brushes. We're just going to take some of that enamel from earlier and we'll start applying it kind of delicately in some areas, and then we'll work in some more pigments on top of that. And now with all that stuff still wet, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to apply some more pigments, and we're just going to, keep the same pattern we were going before. So we're going to apply some darker pigments lower down. We're also going to apply some dry pigments over top of this stuff higher up, and that'll help to blend it into the dusty effects we've already got kind of like up there and stuff like that. So you just blend it in. You don't want to cover up the entire enamel area, just the edge. You gently stipple, and that'll blend it into the actual darker pigment color we already have on there. And we're applying some of the dustier pigment now. If you want to do some streaks on there, the way I do it is I apply first some of the enamel effect. Just keep in mind kind of how streaks should form, so you should have a wet area at the top that maybe leads down towards where the streak will be. And then you kind of want to have another triangular area where it spreads out. Let's put a second one kind of up here maybe. Or just something like that. And then we'll have the water kind of go down along the edge of that final dry area there. That's a little bit messy up there, but it doesn't really matter. Now that it's still wet, I want to darken this up a little bit. So I'm going to take some of the darker pigment. And I'll put a little bit of that on there. Mainly at the top where we want it to look like the muddy and dusty stuff that's been up there. It's just kind of accumulated the moisture and gotten a little bit wet. You can also do a little bit of stippling down them if you want them to be a little more dry looking almost. If you leave them just at the enamel, they'll be a little more shiny and look more fresh. And now we're going to take some of the dry pigment again, and we're going to kind of stipple up towards the edges of them, which will help to blend them in a little bit. So here's our mostly completed lower hull area. I'm just going to kind of stop here because, I mean, if this was a finished tank that I was actually kind of caring more about, I'd probably blend in some of these areas like here, maybe here a little bit more with the dusty pigment. But just, it really depends on how stark you want the demarcation. Like over there, that looks pretty good right there because it's kind of wet and then goes right to dry. Here, it's kind of more of a transition area. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, I've actually got like a dustier color, and then I've got like a mid color in some areas, which is the darker pigment, and then I've actually got the enamel mixed with the pigments at the bottom that makes like a nice kind of more fresh, wet effect, I guess. So you kind of get like dust, dirt, and then mud. And if you want more texture, you can always just apply more pigments on top of the muddy areas and mix it in with the enamels a little better and build it up. It all just kind of depends on how heavy you want it. If this effect I'm getting right now is too heavy or too contrasty for you, you can always just use colors for the mud and dust that are more similar to the base color of the tank, and then it will appear more, I guess, faint because they're just more similar to the base color. Or you can just apply less, doesn't really matter. As for the streaking effects we've got going, you can see how I've actually blended in some of them like I showed you, and then actually I went over top of them and applied like even more thin streaks with just the enamel on top. And that way you get like the nice dry, kind of like areas that were streaking before, or I guess they were run down before, and then they kind of dried up, and then now you've got fresh streaks in there. That's kind of similar to the effects we got down here where we have like more fresh stuff and more dry stuff. Looks really good. It's pretty straightforward. If this was a finished tank, like I was saying, I'd probably do a couple more things, and I'd actually probably add maybe some more streaks somewhere, maybe like here, because I have some at the front and some at the back, like back and the front there, but I don't have anything in the middle, and you want to make it look a little more, I don't know, uniform than that, but you don't want to be too uniform, so I wouldn't do streaks everywhere. I'd pick like one more spot, maybe add like 2 right here, and then none more, and then on the other side maybe I'd add like 1 here, and then maybe 1 like over there. You just want to make it look like it makes sense. You don't want to have just streaks front and back. You want to make it have kind of streaks everywhere, but you don't want it to be too uniform, having streaks everywhere. Weathering is not supposed to be too perfect because then it looks unnatural. But as for just a basic effect I've got using only 2 pigments and an enamel product, I think this looks pretty good. I'd probably, if I want to be more professional or whatever, like, you know, I'd probably use another pigment to kind of blend it a little bit more, maybe something closer to the base coat of the tank. Mig Productions Dry Mud is a beautiful pigment for blending in with Dunkelgelb, so I'd probably use a little bit of that. And I'd also probably add some X22 Gloss Paint by Tamiya, and that would help to further emphasize the wet effects we're getting. You might be able to see that in some of the areas where I have the enamel, you can see it's still kind of glossy looking, like right around in there. Some of the areas where it's just the enamel exposed, that product I was using from Wilder is a little bit of a satin finish to it, so once it dries it's still a little bit shiny, so you actually get like a nice kind of really fresh and wet color going in there. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. Oh, hopefully I can catch in the light or something like that, but I'm pretty happy with how this came out. As always, a big thanks to our patrons: Ricky from Ryan's Painting, John Butler, Ian Sustrick, Sam Murphy, Richard Ward of Johnny Foxtrot, John Lightsey, Sean Streeter, and Rudolph Kiroz. And of course also to Dr. EO, who supports me through PayPal. You guys are awesome in supporting me, it's much appreciated, and it really helps me buying products and tanks and things for you guys to see in the videos. Also a thank you to Luke Steele, who's done some music for me on the channel here. You're probably hearing it playing in the background in this video. I was really looking forward to music for my channel, and now that I have it, it's awesome. And I like the music a lot, it's really awesome. It's exactly what I was looking for. So thank you very much, Luke. Hope you're watching, and I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in below. I'll try to answer them all if I can, and if you see comments in there that you yourself can answer, then please post in there, because that really helps people out. And just people in this community have lots of experience and good opinions, stuff like that, and it's always good for me not to just answer every single question, because I'm not the only authority in this modeling community, far from it. I am still very much a beginner in many aspects, so this is just me showing you how I can do some pigments, stuff like that, and how you can try using just a few basic techniques. This isn't the only way to do it, this is just how I usually do it. And it's pretty straightforward, so I figured I'd share with you guys. This is similar to what you see in most of my weathering videos anyway, so like I said, thank you very much for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.